I am running to become the next leader of the New Democratic Party of Canada.
I'm running to be the next leader of the NDP, but also the first NDP Prime Minister in the history of this country.
I am here because I believe that movements matter, and so does direct political action.
Because it's time we mix things up in Ottawa.
And then there were four: Peter Julian, Guy Caron, Charlie Angus, and Nikki Ashton, all candidates for the next leader of the NDP. Later today, they'll square off in Ottawa for the first of several debates. That will be carried live on CBC News Network. But after the orange crash the party suffered in the 2015 election, candidates will have their hands full trying to woo back progressive-minded voters. What will it take to do that? And what does the NDP stand for these days? We're back with round two of the Sunday Scrum. Susan Riley, John Ibbitson, and Denise Ciele all join me from Ottawa this week. Denise, let me start with you. Is there a sense right now of what the NDP actually stands for?
I think it's less that question, Carol, and more that there's probably still a bit of a collective trauma within the NDP party, a shell shock. And this might explain why it has taken over 7 months for sort of us to have a field of 4 candidates. And when we look at the Conservative side, that there's 14 candidates declared. And what will really be interesting in terms of looking at this debate this afternoon is where these candidates align. There hasn't really been an opportunity for them to speak to not only their base but Canadians at large around the issues. And looking at in Parliament, really the NDP has been very much on the defensive, particularly with the interim leader, I should say, Tom Mulcair. So there's lots more conversations to be had around what will be the bread and butter issues that these leadership candidates align around.
Yes. Susan, do you think there's a sense of right now of what the NDP stands for?
No, I think it's foggy still. I look at those clips and I look at the candidates and I think, a man's reach must exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for, which is a bit of a put down because they're all very familiar actors around the hill. Then I say note to self and to the media in general, but to me particularly. On the one hand, we are alarmed and amused and dismissive of wild characters like Kevin O'Leary, or in the States, Donald Trump, outriders. We really don't like outriders here in Ottawa. On the other hand, when you get a bunch of people who've really done their homework, who really know the system, we sort of yawn and turn the page. So I think in fairness to these 4 people, none of whom are, I suspect, very well known to the public at large, give them a chance. Let's hear them out. Let's see if they have anything new to say. I'm doubtful, deeply doubtful, but I'm trying to keep an open mind.
Okay. John, where do you see the NDP right now in the spectrum of things?
Well, again, as the others have said, it's debating within itself among its members. Is it a party of social action, or is it a progressive alternative government waiting to win an election? There's also the question of Quebec. They lost some of their gains, but they held on to some of their gains in the last election. So how does the party grow its base in Quebec while also reaching in where it really needs to reach into the immigrant middle-class suburban ridings around the major cities, where they have been largely shut out? They have to make inroads there. And of course, they have the problem of a Liberal government. There's nothing worse for the NDP than a Liberal government, because the Liberals claim to hog the progressive side of the spectrum. Here's the good news. The Liberals are actually being very conservative. Not so much on domestic policy right now, but on foreign policy. This is a plug. I wrote a column about this last week. The Trudeau government's foreign policy is absolutely identical. You couldn't put a width of an envelope between the foreign policies of Justin Trudeau and Stephen Harper.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
In
Go
what
read
sense?
In the sense that just about every major thing, from trade to the Middle East to the Russians, Ukraine, to NATO, and to the lack of peacekeeping, the policies of the two governments are identical. This offers an opportunity for the NDP to claim space on the left and say that Justin Trudeau is once again a Liberal campaigning from the left and governing from the right. And I suspect you'll hear that being hammered home over the next few months.
What do you think, Denise?
Well, and this is precisely it. And, looking at the 2015 election, many thought that the Liberals and Trudeau outflanked the NDP on the left. And so looking at the examples that John has cited, this is potentially an opportunity for perhaps the NDP to really reclaim that space. But of course, when you're in a governing position with policy options and in fact the bank behind you, you can speak more to that. Whereas from the perspective of the NDP in a leadership race and heading into the election in 2019, it simply just promises. So a lot remains to be seen.
Sense of the leadership style of these four. Susan, you were saying that they're very. Do you have a problem with can you hear okay, Denise? I want to check in with you.
I certainly can.
Okay,
yes, thank
good. You were saying you know that a lot of these people know Parliament Hill very well. They've been around. It's ho hum, but we still don't know what they would be like as a leader. Whether it would be a Melchior-like approach or a lead by consensus approach. What's your impression of these four candidates?
Well, Nikki Ashton certainly wouldn't be Mulcair-like. She's been around, you know, she's young and she's really a veteran, though. She's been around politics for a long, long time. And she hews to a very, you know, I'm almost going to say tired, but a very old-fashioned view of the NDP as a social movement and as a protest party, essentially. She, you know, has been pretty meticulous about being superficially loyal, but I don't think she approves of what Mulcair has done with the party. Charlie Angus is also a little bit on the left. His advantage, I think, is that he's very engaged with Indigenous peoples and very knowledgeable in that regard. Guy Caron is a bit of a mystery outside. I shouldn't say a mystery, but he's kind of an unknown outside of Quebec, but he is advocating a guaranteed annual income, a version of that, which is an idea that crosses a lot of party lines. One of the most eloquent proponents of a guaranteed annual income for years was Hugh Segal, who was a Conservative senator. So he's going on an economic front. Look, can I just say one thing? There's a huge
Make
opening.
it quick.
Okay,
You're cutting into John's time.
Okay, huge opening on the left to go after Green votes. I mean, there's already the Green Party, but there's a big field of very disappointed environmentalists out in this country.
Yeah.
The NDP is so compromised by the fact that Rachel Notley has taken a position which is not necessarily green-friendly, in their view. It's very pro-pipeline, in other words. So they're kind of hobbled by that. They've always been hobbled by that, and that really could kill them.